Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Well, today is World Environment Day. It was observed across the region. The observation means a lot because this is a celebration observation amid times of the COVID pandemic. What has the COVID pandemic taught us? That nature prevails, and if we have to survive, we have to respect nature. So probably as the youngsters, the youths, the kids, the leaders, everyone, as they went about planting saplings today, probably all of them realized the real value of nature, what it means to us. Can we continue to ignore nature? Can we continue to violate nature? What can we do to restore things? What can we do to leave a better world, a better globe for our next generations? Well, I'll, I'll have an esteemed group of panelists today to discuss this and how different was the observation of World Environment Day today amid this COVID crisis, when we have learned a lot of lessons across the globes. Our rivers now are cleaner, our air now is cleaner. Well, for once, maybe we can say all thanks to the pandemic, but yes, it has taken more than it has given at the same time. To carry the discussion forward, I am being joined from Aizawl by Mizoram Forest Minister T. Lalnuntruanga. Thank you so much, sir. Welcome to Bottom Line. From Shillong, I am being joined by Naba Bhattacharjee, environmentalist. Welcome, sir. From Manipur, T. Bogan, Deputy Director, Directorate of Environment, joins me. In course of the discussion, I'll also be joined by Rituraj Phukon, a wildlife conservationist. I'll have more guests lined up. Shillong Congress MLA Charles Pingrove will also join us in course of the discussion. If I can go to the Mizoram First Minister, Dr. Lalnuntruanga first. Sir, Northeast accounts for a major part of the overall deforestation in the country. If we look percentage-wise, of course, no denying that the region has a high forest cover till now, but for hill states like Mizoram, where people have a unique relation with nature, how challenging is it to continue maintaining a balance between modernization and environment?
Yes, of course, that regarding that modernization of modernization relating to the forest cover area, that's the notice, as you know that, and the notice people are engaging the main source of income is that Jumi cultivation. Jumi cultivation.
Yes, I can hear you.
Shifting cultivation is destroying the forest cover area in Mizoram. For that, the modernization scheme like road construction and other infrastructure upliftment uh, sometimes it sometimes it's make a problem for the forest cover area in Mizoram.
Absolutely, I understand, and it's not surprising that in the 2017 report of the Indian State Forest report, Mizoram was found to have lost a forest cover of 531 square kilometers. Subsequently, in the 2019 report again, Mizoram was found to have lost 180 square kilometers of forest area. Of course, Mizoram is still the highest in terms of forest cover, over 85%. But do you think deforestation is kind of inevitable as it is made out to be in the wake of rapid urbanization and also rising population, and what could be the way forward?
Is that Mizoram state are the beginners in all kinds of development. So we need some many development from the center and other various kinds of the daily needs of the Mizos, so that sometimes the deforestation cannot be stopped. So but we are trying our effort. We are doing our effort by sapling and by planting a sapling of planting. These days, it is not inevitable in Mizoram at this development stage. But now we are recovering we are trying to recovering two mass plantation. Uh, Regarding that urban plantation, rural plantation, roadside plantation by tall seedling plantation. So before that, uh, we, we, we are uh, we are planting a small seedling, but now we are preparing an assessment, making assessment of an estimate number of trees to be planted in the urban area. So now we are focusing to plant a tall seedling plantation
So
by mass
big
plantation.
big plantation drive going on in Mizoram. That's what we get to understand. If I can go to Mr. T. Bogan, who is joining us from Imphal. Mr. Bogan, welcome to Bottom Line again. Even Manipur has been found to lose forest cover in the Indian State Forest Report, especially in the hill districts. On World Environment Day, what is your observation of the health of the state's flora, fauna, and especially in the hill districts where the biggest forest cover is there?
Yes, that is, thank you. And we that's observing is a stat level, this biodiversity day, that is environment day, with the theme biodiversity, that is with the stat level, in the stat level. That is our Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, that's leads with many, I think, our that's Forest Minister and the other minister and the MLAs in 3 places. Actually, due to COVID, that is novel coronavirus spread out in lockdown, and we are observing in the Imphal area mostly, I think in 3 places, I think that is historic places in Manipur. That is one is I think in Langthaban, that is the historic place, and that is another one is the B. Tikendrajit Park plantation, and another one is that is riding guiding Nung Park. And we that is planting many, I think that's indigenous plants, I think most that is choice by our honorable Chief Minister also, and in the hill places also, and many places and many institution, many department and many organization, they are observing the I think the World Environment Day in the whole, I think in the whole
Was there a
Manipur.
different theme?
That
Was there a different theme this time? What was the message? This is a different kind of a World Environment Day observation. We are in a time of crisis and only nature can save us. What was the message from the Chief Minister? What was the message from the state's leadership?
message is our honorable Chief Minister message is very clear that we live in our earth, in our planet, and we have the responsibility to conserve and to protect our planet for our future. That is the main, I think, theme, I think, with plantation of, I think, in every place, in hill, in valley, in every place of Manipur. I think he announced also that is we better to work, I think, for the future generation. We must protect and not cut the trees, and that is, instead of that, we have to plant more trees, I think, for the future generation. This is the clear that is
We will
message.
come, yeah, we will come to more of that, especially to the hill districts. But if I can go to Mr. Nava Bhattacharjee in Shillong now. Nava Bhattacharjee, of course, an environmentalist, has been involved in projects, be it the cleaning of Wamkra, Wamshirpi, the rivers in Shillong, coal mining. Welcome, Mr. Bhattacharjee. How significant do you think is this World Environment Day observation in the wake of the COVID pandemic, which has clearly changed the way we look at nature?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very good question. You see, it's no more life as usual. This is a new normal, and in this new normal, environment definitely plays a very important role. And I think the whole world has realized. that how if we remove few of the impinging factors, polluting factors, if it is removed, how well the environment responds. Environment is very flexible, and environment always wants to maintain that equilibrium. So the world over, we have seen the change, drop in the ambient air quality. The water quality has improved. Then your because of the non-extraction of the fossil fuels, the petroleum, you see emission of the greenhouse gases has come down, and there is a sea change in the entire atmosphere, in the biodiversity. We see the movement of animals, which we have seen, the wildlife which is coming out. So there is a holistic, I mean, pandemic has really proved the way for environment to rejuvenate and revive, which could not have been possible even with another 30 or 40 years, what has been achieved now. But the question remains, how do we hold on to it? Because human urge is such that we want immediately to revert back to what we call the cliche normal. For us, high pollution level is a normal. I'm saying for the mainland, not particularly so much in the northeast. The polluted Ganges is a normal. Extraction of coal, like it is happening in Dehing and Patkai, is a normal. Hydroelectric power of 3,000 megawatts in Dibang Valley is normal. So we want to revert back. But now life will not be the same. It is for all of us to understand. We need to
Life
adjust
will not
and
be the same.
be in consonance and in harmony with nature. Otherwise, worse catastrophe will face humanity. Like not only pandemic, we have seen what Amphan has done. So such things will happen
we
because
we
of
we
the
will we
climate
will we
change
will come to more of
factors.
that. We will come to more of that, Mr. Bhattacharjee. If I can go back to the Mizoram minister, sir, you mentioned about Jhum cultivation a short while back. Of course, Jhum cultivation has been discouraged by successive governments in the state under the land use policy laws, but we also have oil palm, rubber and horticultural plantations, which are probably equally detrimental to overall forest cover. So do you think this kind of cultivation is contributing to forest loss in the state? I'm mainly here talking about shifting cultivation, Jhum cultivation.
Yes, here our government, headed by the chief ministership of Mr. Zoram Thanga, we also have as SEDP, Socio-Economic Development Policy. Uh, Under this, we are also taking steps for stopping the zooming cultivation, but we cannot stop at once because of the because most of the peoples are engaging in the zooming cultivation and cultivating in farming, so that we are also discouraging. But for alternative for alternating this uh, for alternating this zooming cultivation, we are planning to have to plant it that, as you say, that rubber and other various kinds of earning plant, and that also passion fruit also introducing for commercial trees. That commercial trees are concentrating by this government.
Commercial.
And moreover, our government, Mizoram state government, also introducing the flagship as a flagship program, that bamboo seedling plantation. Those seedling plantation also will be done. Uh, that uh, bamboo is abundant here in Mizoram. That
Absolutely.
is
And other parts of the
the
Northeast
best
as
place
well.
for bamboo. Bamboo is in Mizoram. So we have a high expectation for stopping the Jumi cultivation.
Mr. T. Bogan, again, in the hill districts, Mr. Bogan, in the hill districts of Manipur, most of the land is community owned, like as the practice in other parts of the northeast, be it Meghalaya, be it Mizoram. Most of the land is community owned. Do you think that is also an area of concern at the same time? But again, we have to give credit to the communities for maintaining the forest area, maintaining the forest land. But at the same time, sometimes the forest laws are not applicable. So is that also a handicap that probably the state forest and environment department faces in case it sees some activity which should not happen? Is that an area of concern?
Of course, that is in Manipur. Is more than 31 ethnic groups is there in Manipur. And tribal peoples are there, inhabited in different parts of the hill areas. So only government, that is, we can't impose. I think we can't force to protect the hills. I think plantation and the cutting of trees and the extraction of trees and even non-forest and non-forest products and everything. They have, I think, peoples living inhabited in the hill areas. I think they have also the responsibility to protect their surroundings, their environment, and their culture with the protection of their, with the preservation of their culture. They must protect, they must conserve their hills also. That is the responsibility also. And by the way, the government also, I think there is many laws, I think, imposed, I think, in the hill areas, and the Forest Act is there, Biodiversity Act is there, many laws are there, I think. And so in the forest land, I think there is many reserve forests is there, unclassed forests is there. So even though I think all of the tribes, I think, inhabited in the hill areas of Manipur, they have the responsibility, they have the consciousness for their environment to conserve and to protect, to preserve the biodiversity, and that is the plants, everything. And because I think biodiversity is among.
Also, something that I would want to point out here is that there have been reports that a lot of land, especially again in the hill districts, some elements are cultivating poppy, cannabis. That is something the state government, of course, the Manipur government has been trying to put an end to that, but this still continues.
Yes, so
Without much success rate till now, I should say.
Yeah, that's, of course, this is there, but the government is that is the government is now, that is restricted. I think they have, I think, even against those person, the poppy plants, and they have we have imposed some alternative activities, that is plantation of agar, plantation of many fruit bearing stuff plants, and we give some initiative to them also, and that is gradually, that is the reduce, I think, poppy plantation, everything. I think many, I think police person and many political person and NGO, they are also involving to, I think, destroy the everything for that's against the, they stand against those who are planting the poppy plantation, and that's against, government is also against them also, and the government is imposing some alternative means, I think, for their livelihoods. And another, that is fruit bearing, it may be fruit bearing plants, it may be agar plants, it may be some productives, that is the livelihood plants. They are giving some initiative also for promoting that on that way.
If Mr. T. Lalul Twanga, we have been talking about forest fires. Forest fires are another common problem in the Northeast, in several states of the Northeast. Is enough community awareness in place in Mizoram against this menace, if you can call it the menace of forest fire, that is rampant sometimes in some states?
Yes, that's true. We also have a sufficient uh, awareness to NGO. We have a good NGO here in the largest NGO, YMA, we
YMA.
call that. We have in every village in Mizoram, YMA, YLA, and uh, why Mara Association also be there in southern part of Mizoram, so that in their each of area they are giving awareness every year. They themselves give awareness to their village only, village also.
Absolutely. I'm being joined from Guwahati now by Mr. Rituraj Phukon. Rituraj Phukon, of course, is the Secretary General of the Green Guard Nature Organization with nearly 2 decades of experience working with elephant depredation affected communities. He's also an environmental writer and an adventurer. Welcome, sir, to Bottom Line. Well, World Environment Day today, but as far as man-animal conflict is concerned, nothing much to cheer about. The relation hasn't improved any bit.
Yes, this must be the saddest World Environment Day ever, with the news of the destruction of vital forest habitats coming in, and and then we had the elephant killing in Kerala. So yeah, these are really strange times, and ironically, this is supposed to be the most significant year for biodiversity, the so-called super year for biodiversity, and we have the theme of World Environment Day as biodiversity. But unfortunately, the turn of events has not been as expected, and we are actually looking at a lot of negatives rather than positives. But
Yes,
uh,
yes.
but looking ahead, the UN Decade for Ecological Restoration starts next year. Uh, Maybe once we have the global framework for post 2020 agenda, the countries will work together to actually, recover what has been, lost in this period.
Absolutely. We'll come to more of that. Rituraj Phukon, please hold on. Mr. T. Bogan, again, forest fires. Forest fires are again a major cause of concern in Manipur as well. Any awareness programs in put in place? Can that be prevented? It has been in news almost everywhere. What steps can be taken very quickly?
Yes, please. That is also there in Manipur. Everywhere the forest fire is there. I think in Manipur, actually, for concern in Manipur, that is the forest department and many NGOs are working. I think to stop the forest fire, and that's many people also before. I think 10 years back, 20 years back, many. I think they are not aware about the forest fire. That is bluntly fire, and that's uh, everything is lost. Now they are coming. I think that is good in Manipur. That is good, coming good in Manipur. That is forest fires is I think reduced. I think more than 70%, 60% is reduced, because I think due to awareness, they have some consciousness is there. I think for environment. So many people, I think many NGOs, many I think communities, they are in the local, in the community, they are giving some awareness, and that is to reduce the forest fire also in Manipur. That is now in Manipur, that is quite okay. I think the last, with comparison to the last 10 years experience, and nowadays, I think that is developing. I think develop means, I think that is forest fire is reduced in Manipur.
Absolutely. Mr. T. Laluntwanga, my last question to you, Mr. T. Laluntwanga, on World Environment Day, what is your message to the people of Mizoram, to the people of the state, to the people of the Northeast?
My message, my message is that the peoples have to aware about the green city, for the lungs, green, to make green city for the lungs of the that 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 we are setting up the examples of lungs of the lungs of the city, the, as we are introducing for afforestation in the state, as well as in the urban rural area and roadside plantation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lalut Twanga, for joining us. Thank you so much, Mr. T. Bogan, for joining us from Imphal. We're being joined now also from Shillong by Congress MLA Charles Pingrop. Welcome, sir, to Bottom Line. Nava Bhattacharjee is still with us. So is Rituraj Phukon. If I can go to Nava Bhattacharjee first, Mr. Bhattacharjee. Now this pandemic has in a way done to nature what we couldn't have done in, say, 40 years, while rivers, including the mighty Ganges, the mighty Ganga, has been cleansed. At least in the northeast, the situation was not that bad. We still had pristine environment despite everything. But having said that, how can we sustain whatever is left, and how can we better it?
You see, this is the last vigil call for the Northeast, particularly the hill states and the hill regions of Assam. This is the time for the entire Northeast to wake up and take a leaf out of what is happening in mainland India and all over the world. We are extremely fortunate to have a pristine environment yet as of date. As you rightly pointed out, there has been a lot of erosion in the general status of the environment pertaining to your forest cover, your polluted rivers, then extraction of fossil fuels like coal and all. Still, we are better off, much, much better than others. But the thing is how to sustain it now. That is the moot question which is related to the Northeast. Ambient air quality, we should not fall back. We have Northeast has to grow on its USP and strength. And what is our strength? Our strength has to be environment related, particularly in the hills. And that has been the tradition. A tribal life is intricately linked to the forest and to the green cover, to the environment. So we cannot move out. I'm not saying that you don't embrace the modern, the digitalization and others, but your traditional wisdom for the preservation and conservation of environment has to dominate over all other considerations. Now, how do we move forward? What are our strengths? Our strengths are not to have heavy industries. Our strengths are not rapid industrialization. Our strengths are green economy. By green economy, we mean that we go for declaring organic states, the green cultivation. We need to go for agriculture, horticulture, which is in tune with the environment. You'll agree, Nabarun, that agriculture also has done a lot of damage to the environment, the normal agriculture. So we need to go for the value addition. The organic culture has to come in. Then is our ecotourism. You see, we can go for your pisciculture, your beekeeping, your cultivation of your medicinal and herbal plants. You see, these are all of high value products
Sounds
and
good.
which
Sounds
is
good.
in tune and in
Sounds good.
sync with
Sounds good.
our environment.
Sounds good, Mr.
So if we
Bhattacharjee.
want to, yeah.
Sounds good, Mr. Bhattacharjee, but we will come to more of that. Have we been able to put our act into place? We'll come to more of that. Rituraj Phukon, as you just mentioned, well, I think we have lost the connection with Rituraj Phukon there. Well, as I said, Mr. Bhattacharjee, well, sounds good what you said, but as far as green economy is concerned, don't you think these ideas and suggestions have largely remained on paper so far? Successive state governments have not been able to do anything in the region. Let's face it.
You see, the times are different, as we said. Na? It's not like business as usual. And you see, it is emanating from the grassroots, from the people. You know Shillong and Meghalaya well. Now you see people particularly the agriculture during the lockdown and when we have relaxation, people are setting up small markets all over, even in the rural areas. And that marketing strategy has taken a paradigm shift. You see, slowly the middleman, the brokers who were involved in wholesale buying, that is slowly going up. Now, people, the small farmers have started coming to the areas, to the cities, to the towns to sell their produce. So a beginning is being coming from the grassroots. You see, government can have so many schemes, so many projects, so many ideas, but ultimately the implementation and execution has to be done by the person on the ground, the farmer who is on the ground, the ecotourism promoter who is on the ground and not sitting either in Shillong or in some of the cities and giving directions. So it has to be a bottoms up approach. And this whole pandemic has brought a paradigm shift in the thoughts of the people, even regarding healthcare UCT. Now there is a movement where community care, even in the healthcare system, we have seen the community coming forward, having their quarantine centers, having their isolation wards, where the government is not at all involved. They may be facilitating or giving 5-10,000 rupees, but it has come in spontaneously from the people that this is the time. Difficult times need tough actions, and we need to be resilient, and we need to stand on our own feet and develop on our innate inherent strength which is there, which is not industry, which is not the livelihood has to come from the grassroots, which is our
Need to be
strength.
resilient,
Because as I said, you
need
cannot have industries, people who are working outside, they have all come back. How do we provide for them? So here we need to diversify, we need to do value addition and give
need to
emphasis in the
diversify,
rural
need to be
areas,
resilient,
because it
need to
cannot
be
be city centric,
self-dependent.
because the migration saturation point it
Yes.
has reached.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Charles Pingrope, exactly. Need to diversify. Need to be self-dependent. That is exactly what you have tried with your initiative, that of providing cloth to the women in your locality to come up with a traditional, to stitch the traditional khasi bags, the market bag that we use in Shillong. And this is also a campaign against a plastic-free Shillong. That's a noble initiative. From where did you get the motivation, sir?
Well, today being World Environment Day, we organize programs, and each year we do that and we plant trees and all that. But this time, we were hit by a pandemic, which we were all ill prepared. Hence, the effects that it had on the population that were depending on the livelihoods and daily wages were badly hit. So we decided that how do we contribute? First of all, to world environment, making it a better place to live in, and secondly, at the same time, also to provide some livelihood to the people who have been affected. So the idea came into my mind that why not start with something that would try and ban plastics, the use of plastics in Shillong and Meghalaya as a whole. So we started this thing called the playo. Playo in Khasi
Plyo,
means in English is uh,
the
market bag,
market
a
bag.
bag you take to the market. So that was stitched from cloth by the tailors who live in my constituency and who also depend on stitching clothes here and there for their livelihood. So we did this, and they get a little money out of it. So each person, individual, I mean, they were mostly ladies, were given about 100 bags to stitch at 30 rupees a bag. So they got about 3,000 rupees for that.
Oh.
So there was a little help to them during this time.
Yes, and of course the battle against plastic has been going on for long in Shillong, but without much success. But the mantra again would be to involve the community in the fight, and that is what initiative like the one you have embarked on does.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. That was the intention. So because we know that plastic is not good for the environment, and to ban plastics would it can be done. In fact, I had spoken in the assembly in 2018 that we should start banning the use of single-use plastics anyway. But then, if you ban plastics, you have to give the people an alternative because they can't go to the market with a bag. Therefore, I came up with this idea, and it proved quite a success. In fact, today we sold more than 30,000 rupees worth of bags.
Oh, that's some money.
Yeah,
That's
and that money goes, except for the price of the cloth, that money goes to the ladies who stitch the bags, and those who are selling them also get a little margin out of that of 20 rupees a bag. So if they sell 100 bags, they get 2,000. So that way we are pushing the the cost of the bag, whatever you get, except from the cost of the cloth, goes back to the society.
all right. Well, quite a noble initiative that, and especially a campaign against plastic-free Shillong. Well, we lost the video line with Rituraj Phukon, but he's with us over the phone. Mr. Phukon, you mentioned earlier in the show that yes, this is a very sad, sorrowful World Environment Day. Of course, we all know, we all are aware of that incident in Kerala, that of the jumbo, and of course in Assam, if we see the Assam context, close to 1,000 people have died in the last 10 years, and also up to 300 elephants have also died in the man-elephant conflict that never ceased. What could be the way forward? Why are we unable to find any solutions, Mr. Phukon?
Yeah, that's a very important question. Anyway, my line is restored, so in case
okay,
I get a call,
we will connect again. We will connect again to Mr. Rituraj Phukon. In the meantime, if I can go to Mr. Nava Bhattacharjee in Shillong. Mr. Bhattacharjee, as we speak, we are also aware that the rivers in Shillong are suffering. We have been talking about the how the Ganga has become clean, but the rivers of Shillong, be it the Wamkra, the Umshirpi, well, still dirty. So that speaks volumes of how much still needs to be done, even in the northeast. Let's face it.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like cleaning of the warm cry, that I was the pioneer in filing, and after for 2 years trying on our own to do something, and then I went to the NGT and I was fighting the case on my own, appearing myself. So here again, you see, unless like we have the darbars, all those settlements on the banks of the Wamkra, Umshirpi or Umiam lake itself, unless the people who are settled there become aware, conscious, and they feel for this river, and without dumping, open defecation and release of sewerage, dumping of solid waste, you see how much can the government do. In my case, in 2000s, right from 2016, I submitted about 20,000 pages in different sections, over 20,000 pages of reports highlighting, and not only the complaint, even the solutions were given by me. Accordingly, the NGT has given directives, things have moved. Now, you see, even during the pandemic, I went and saw in the Wamkra, things that improved. And our position in the hills, the rivers are not because of the effluents being released from the industrial waste. And it can be easily checked. It is the human waste, which the solid waste, the
Absolutely.
sewerage, these are the things, the dumping of construction materials, these three, four are the main aspects. Even if you see the water quality, the dissolved solids are very high. That's why it's murky. But if you see the water quality tests, they do not have pH value, and other things are not very low to make it acidic, or the BOD or the COD content. So it can be done. But here, the people's involvement is very, very necessary. So for that, the entire community. So we have been talking even last week that the way the pandemic has been handled by the community, we can easily handle these amelioration of the condition of the rivers, which will be much, much easier. So, Nabarun, I see a ray of light here in view. I think this pandemic has done a lot of good also for us, changing our lifestyle, our thought process, and how as a community we need to come together
Community
if we have to survive not only the COVID, but the pollution of the rivers, the
Community needs to be
contamination
involved. Charles Pingrop,
of the
Charles
mining
Pingrop,
areas,
that's
the
the
coal mining
mantra.
areas,
Charles Pingrop,
etc.
community needs to be involved. Of course, a lot of wastes in Shillong rivers, Shillong's rivers, be it the Wamkra, Shirpi, these are plastic waste. So, do you think the initiative that you have started would also go a long way in probably help in cleaning these rivers also?
That's right. That's right. In fact, most of the river passes through my constituency, and it's very disturbing to see that the people just throw these plastics into the stream. Well, with this initiative, I hope they will start learning, that throwing plastics is not a good idea.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Pingrop, for joining us. We have Rituraj Phukon. We've been connected again, once again, with Rituraj Phukon. Mr. Phukon, the same question you had just mentioned earlier in the show that, well, this is one of the saddest, probably, World Environment Day today. Of course, we all know about the incident in Kerala where it was brutal, to say the least. But coming back to the context of Assam, close to 1,000 people have died since 2010. 300 elephants have also died in the man-elephant conflict, the man-animal conflict. What is the way forward? Why are we unable to find solutions? Is it because of overpopulation? Is it because of rapid urbanization, increasing needs? Well, these are the issues, but we have to find a solution.
But I would just like to add one aspect that's kind of not really looked into, and that is the change in vegetation. We have had change in rainfall patterns, we have had a rise in temperatures, and in this changed environmental conditions, there is a change in vegetation. A couple of years back, one villager in the Karbi foothills actually uh, summed it up very well for me. And he said, the elephants are coming down because there is no grass up in the hills. We don't get grass to, build the rooftops of our granaries, of our cowsheds anymore. So where is all the grass gone? The grass has disappeared because it's got warmer, probably the rainfalls have changed. And the most important factor is that the entire foothills have been overrun with invasive creepers, shrubs, and vegetation which have, covered all the grassland that used to be the staple food for the elephants. So once they don't have anything to eat up there, they come down, right? That is one of the key factors. And you know, another factor is that they need a lot of fruits, and they know exactly when which fruit is getting ripe in which region, and that kind of determines the migration patterns from between the, say, the Karbi foothills and the Kaziranga landscape. And these fruit trees are also not being as productive as they used to be, and that could be because of the changed weather conditions, as well as increased uh, human intervention or increased collection of these fruits by people. And so a combination of these factors are actually causing increased
So
human
what
wildlife
what you
conflicts.
are saying is that climate change has a major role to play in this conflict.
Yes, yeah, and there is another factor too. We must remember that elephants are huge animals. They need a lot of water. They need a lot of food, and besides that, they're also very, vulnerable to heat stress. So all these factors, a combination of these factors, are you know kind of forcing them out of these their protected areas, out of the habitats where they are kind of safe, and that brings them into increased contact with human beings. That brings them into settlements, and that also increases poaching vulnerabilities. So yeah, so climate change is a big factor. And in fact, it has been documented by some research in places like in the Terai region in Nepal, where the rhinos has been moving towards India actually, because the grasslands uh, in the upper reaches have kind of disappeared. So this vegetation change is happening all over the world, and because we are in such a biodiverse region, and because we are so much rainfall dependent, the impacts here are much more pronounced than in many other places.
And are the policymakers looking into these factors, the decision makers, those who can implement? Of course, conservationists and environmentalists like you can suggest, but end of the day, is the decision makers, the policymakers, the government to also implement a lot of things. And of course, community involvement is also a must.
Yes, I would expect policymakers, of course, to look into this, because the Indian delegation to COP25 at Poland 2 years back, in fact, named Assam and Mizoram as the two most vulnerable states to climate change in the entire, the Himalayan belt. So, and they listed the reasons, and the reasons, of course, included a lot of community involvement, community resilience, lack of, education, lack of alternative livelihoods, and all these factors are a combination. With Green Guard Nature Organization, what we focus is a lot of education of young minds. So we go to schools all along the conflict affected belt, work with the students, and try to instill in them a love for wildlife, as well as teach uh, a soft approach to intrusion of wildlife, so that we can facilitate human elephant coexistence rather than conflict.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Rituraj Phukon, for that perspective. Thank you so much for being on Bottom Line. If I can go back to Mr. Nuva Bhattacharjee in Shillong. Mr. Bhattacharjee, my last question to you, coming to the mining issue in Meghalaya. Yes, mining has been a major mainstay for a big portion of the population, but we have had successive governments speaking about scientific mining, but nothing much has materialized till now. Let's be honest about it. Besides, there has also been no effort whatsoever to search for alternate livelihood in mining areas, in the mining belts. Is anybody trying, or we are just trying to restore mining without any scientific methods? Is that how the scenario is?
Exactly. We lost the opportunity when the NGT came up with the ban in 2014 to divert from this mining and find alternative livelihoods, which you have exactly hit the nail on the head. But no efforts were made. Initially, some efforts, but what has happened? This mining of coal wasn't easy money. It is like selling your family wares, your silver. You have, as long as your silver, your other assets, right, you go on selling, and it's become like that. Then this sustains you, your life, your family, and other things. But your family wealth, family wares, family silvers also come to an end. So similarly, it is with coal. Maybe this generation is going, but what about the next generation? Because this is not a renewable source. Coal, petroleum, they will all come to an end. I was talking to some of the mining engineers. They say it's maybe another 15, 20 years if the mining goes on, continues of coal, and then it will be over. So what does the next generation do? So because mining was an easy way out, you mine one truck of coal and you can run your whole family for a month. So you see, you are right. The government also has not come forward, and the people also did not want to adopt or get accustomed. So you see, the mining areas, agriculture is totally nil. The water bodies have been totally contaminated. Acid mine drainage, the Lukha River, and other rivers which has been contaminated due to coal mining. So agriculture also is not possible where AMD is there. So a step has to come. And I would also say our judiciary also has, with all due apology, has not seen these in a proper perspective. And that's why it raised the hope of the people. After every 5 months, 6 months, some concessions were given that you can transport so much, you can transport this much, and then again, so people still, that hope was there that maybe after 6 months, last time it happened. So after 1 year, again, we'll get an opportunity to transport for another 6 months. So these were all ad hocism which was going on. If you put a ban, you ban it altogether. Or if you want to continue, you say that this is the scientific mining, this is the guidelines, and you have to stick to it. So nothing is happening. It is neither here nor there. So the people also are in a state of flux, that how do we move forward. So once it is shut, totally gone, then people only, I think, will move forward to alternate livelihoods.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I do not see these things coming to an end. It is more like a cat and mouse game, a hide and seek game, which is going on.
Absolutely. Yet an effort needs to be made. Thank you so much, Mr. Nava Bhattacharjee, for your perspective on that. This Environment Day, we have a lot of lessons to carry forward. Of course, one thing is for certain, we need to respect nature, because in nature lies our survival. That's a wrap of Bottom Line.